Hey guys, welcome back. I know it's been a minute, but today, new video, new product. Vamos. New product, C2 spec motoring, auto to manual tonneau covers. For those of you guys doing auto to manual conversions, this is what you need so you can isolate the road noise, keep the dust, dirt, debris out of your interior. This kit includes OEM reconditioned bucket, hardware, top cover, and retainer with the C2 spec logo on it. Now what this is going to do, aside from what I just mentioned, it is going to allow you to run this OEM isolator. And this is what is going to keep all of that from entering your interior. And if you don't have any cover right now and you're just driving around with everything exposed, you know how noisy it can be and just getting all that stuff inside of your interior, and you want to make sure you keep that out. So the C2 spec motoring auto manual tonneau cover kit includes all of this. Does not include the isolator. Now, one thing the kit does not include is going to be sealant. Now, if you work on cars, you probably have sealant. And if you don't have sealant, you should go grab yourself some, because you're probably going to need it at some point. You can either use ultra black, ultra gray, Honda Bond. This is what they look like. This is ultra black, and it is not gonna go anywhere. And this is the Honda Bond, which I just applied this a little while ago, so that is going somewhere. And obviously they have their cure time, so you do have to be conscious about that. So a small tube of either one is gonna be perfect for what you need. When doing auto to manuals, you are going to encounter two different types of tunnels. Now that depends on what chassis you have. From what I've seen, 88 to 95 are going to have this, and 96 to 2001 are going to have this. So that's going to cover EF, DA, EG, some DC, including Del Sol. This is going to cover 96 and up Integra and EK Civics. Now what's the difference? Let me show you. This right here is pretty easy to remove. You have two bolts down here and two bolts on the inside, and you can just remove it, discard it, you don't need it. And it has a gasket, you don't need this either. And it leaves you with a relatively clean surface. Now this one here, this one's a little bit more involved because everything is spot welded. Now you do have to go out and get yourself a spot weld cutter, and a center punch would be pretty useful. You need the center punch for these two holes right here. Now, these aren't spot welds, they're just gonna be open, and you do need to locate the center and drill those straight through, because those are actually those right there. Now, as for the spot welds, you don't wanna drill all the way through the metal. If you do, it's not gonna be a real big issue, but you really don't wanna do that. So make sure you take the time and you take care not to drill straight through. Just keep checking. It might take a little bit longer, and that's what it's going to look like after it's removed. You can discard this as well, you don't need it. Now it's going to look just like this. Okay, if you drill straight through the first panel, that's fine. It does have another piece of sheet metal on top, and that's what those are going to look like. You are going to want to drill straight through those. Before you start installing anything, make sure everything is cleaned off. Take some acetone, clean it off a few times. This right here, you're gonna have to take a blade, or you're gonna have to take something flat like a spatula and start scraping that stuff off. If you do have raised areas of metal, what you can do is you can take a flat disc, take some sandpaper, some real coarse sandpaper, and just clean it up. But make sure that the area is clean. There's still a little more modification. Let me show you. As far as the modification you have to do, this is a must. It's not terrible, but you have to do it. You can see that this right here is relatively flat. This is raised. Now, when you take off your OEM automatic shifter, this is what you're left with. You're left with this raised area, this lip, if you will. But what you need to do is you need to cut that lip off, and you need to make it flat. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to take that under panel all the way up to the top panel. You want to have it flush. I didn't have to do that with this one, but make it flush all the way through because you are going to need it for adjustment. The best way to do this is if you take a flap disc, or even if you have a Dremel and you cut the lip off and take one of those sanding drums and go all around it. You don't have to do anything with the metal because the sealant from the insulation is going to seal everything off. So that's what you need to do as far as the modifications. Now, one of the other things too is that you are going to have to drill your holes. If you already did that for that dog bone bushing, you are going to have to drill those holes there too. So let's get to the installation of the tonneau cover kit. So after everything's modified, you're going to be ready to install the bucket and the top cover. Here you have the bucket and the top cover. What you want to do is take your gasket maker, take your sealant, and go all the way around. And also some around these holes here would be a good idea. And then take the same type of sealant, go around the hole here, go around these holes, and all around the cover. About 1/8 of an inch would be good. You're going to have some seepage coming out of the sides, in which it's completely fine. So once that is done, you're going to want to do carefully and don't get it everywhere because it can get everywhere. Take your bucket and put it in there. Now everything should align just fine. Okay? You're going to have these holes right here which are not used. But again, you modified the inside of it so you can have that adjustment. Okay, now there is going to be a point where if you move it too far left or too far right, that hole is going to be exposed. But what you can do is you can add a little bit more sealant on that side and this other side, or if it seeps out, you can just kind of rub it in there and that'll be fine. So once that is done, you can take your top cover and you can install it just like that. And again, this is assuming that you have the sealant on. If you don't have the sealant on, then there's no point in doing this. Now, after that is done, you can take the C2 Spec motoring retainer, put it in place. Line everything up. What you can do now is you can install bolts. And again, if you already did the conversion, you already have the holes there. If not, tighten everything up. Make sure everything looks good. Everything is being covered. Hand tighten everything first. Make sure the retainer is on there. It's gonna lay flat. And there you go. Now you can go to the other side and tighten everything up. After everything's installed, this is what it's gonna look like. So you have your bolts up here at the bottom, you have your bucket in, and again, you want it to take it all the way up to that edge right there so you can have that adjustment so you don't have any openings there. So again, make sure you take it all the way to the edge so you can adjust it. These stay that way. You can put some sealant on there and it's going to be fine. If you have some seepage, it's okay. You can go ahead and apply it all the way around the areas that there is exposed metal. You will have no seepage through here. Everything is already covered. After this type of tunnel is prepped and cleaned, it's going to look just like this. If you did manage to make a few holes while drilling it out, then when you apply the sealant, it should seep through. Otherwise, you can also apply some at the very top. Now again, take your time, and you are not going to have any holes. Now, after everything is said and done, get your isolator, install it, and you're ready to go. All right, guys and gals, that's how you install the C2 Spec Motoring Auto to Manual Tonneau Cover Kit. If you need one, if you're going auto to manual, even if you have a right-hand drive, it works for right-hand drive chassis as well. At C2Spec_motoring on Instagram, and I can get one out to you. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, dale un like. If you know someone who's doing an auto to manual, then maybe you can share it. Let's help everyone get their auto to manuals done right. So I'll see you guys next time with some Integra content. I hope turbo content. And thank you for subscribing And if you haven't subscribed, I think you should subscribe. I think it's a pretty good video. I think it's a pretty good product. I hope you think so too. So until next time, see you guys later. Hold on a second. For you Spanish-speaking folks out there, para ustedes que hablan español, que están en Latinoamérica, Sudamérica, a donde sea, les quiero llegar con los mismos tipos de videos que estoy grabando, que tienen que ver de Honda, de Acura, de Integra, de Civic, lo que sea. Si les gusta lo que estoy haciendo, echen un like. Si no les gusta, echen un like todavía, no les quita nada. Para la próxima, ahí les vengo en español.